This is a Kirblog all about a little show that I like to tout. Cause when I'm out of ideas for Kirblogs, Teen Titans, go! Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hi, Puffy, I'm a Yumi show. It's the hi, Puffy, I'm a Yumi show. And that's when everybody closes the window out and never listens to this shit again. Hi, I'm recording this a week in advance because I think I will just be getting back from Fanime around the time that this will be going up, so I don't have time. So I'm doing this ahead of time, yes. Question I've been sitting on for a while. Was thinking about maybe doing this with a guest at one point, but I decided to just say fuck it and do it. This comes from Jonah Huber, a long time back. Thanks, Mr. Neosi. I have a topic request for you. Can you talk about your experience with Teen Titans? The reason I picked this one now is because just yesterday, I'm recording this on Wednesday the 20th. This is going up on Tuesday the 26th. So we're time travel again, as we often do on Kirblog here. Yesterday on the 19th, I got to visit the Warner Brothers animation studio for the first time. I've had the pleasure of getting to visit a few studios from thanks to some friends who work around on different shows. But it turns out I have two friends, one of which Zach Bellissimo, who those of you will know from the Nintendo collabs. He did some of the animation segments on there, and he's worked on Rick and Morty and Motor City and a bunch of shows like that. And he's currently a storyboard artist on Teen Titans Go. And me and a couple friends were brought to come visit there by the director, this guy Brian, who my friend Steve knew. Long story short, whatever. I got to go to visit WB. Also, my friend Mike Rocco works there he's working on a new Bugs Bunny project, which I believe is coming out relatively soon. So I have friends in Warner, is what I'm trying to say. Long-winded ass answer. Hey, we're 2 minutes in. The topic hasn't even fucking started yet. Teen Titans. I was reminded of Teen Titans Go because Zach was storyboarding on that show currently, and it's been going strong for a while. And I guess give a little history of it. So I remember when the first preview of Teen Titans, the original series, happened one morning on Kids WB. This must have been like 2003 or 2, maybe something like that. I believe this was also the time when Mike Lucas, who was there with me yesterday at the Warner Brothers studio, I think this is when he had moved away, and we were keeping in touch on the TV TOME forums, and leading to the precursor of TOME and all that. But I saw the preview for it on Saturday morning, and weirdly enough, I think at the time, it was supposed to be airing on Kids WB first, but then it ended up being more of a Cartoon Network show, and it did obviously air on WB eventually, but like long after the episodes that had been showing on Cartoon Network. But they showed the preview, and it was of the first episode I believe that they made. It wasn't the first one that eventually aired in full, but it was Divide and Conquer, I think was that one. It was the one with Plasmus as the bad guy, and the animation was a little weird. It was a little different from how the final look was, and I believe that first clip that they did, it was Robin, Raven, Beast Boy, and Starfire fighting Plasmus. Cyborg wasn't there because that was the plot of the episode, is that he separated to go off on his own or whatever. And they had a little fight scene with Plasmus, and there were these shots where the style looked like really like, I mean, I know obviously Teen Titans in general had the very exaggerated like anime style kind of thing, but the animation on that first clip that they showed, it was very like the mouths were all like over the place, and the animation there were like more frames going on with it. I remember in particular, it was that bit where Robin's like making lots of puns and shit, and he's like, maybe he just needs to chill or whatever. Like throws a little freezing discus thing at Plasmus or something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, I saw that, and I think I was like up in the background, like while it was like getting food or something while it was playing, and I was like, oh neat, yeah, I think I'll watch this show. So some time passes, and it starts airing on Cartoon Network. And I remember, when Mike Lucas was in the process of moving back to New York at the time, he was staying with me and my family for a while. I think I've talked about that on some other Kirblog stories before. But we were watching the show, and this was back when they were airing new episodes, I think on Saturday night on Cartoon Network at the time, I believe. And I remember, I think we saw the episode with Thunder and Lightning, which was not a very popular one from what I remember, but I distinctly like that was that early time when season 1 was happening with those episodes. So the show was airing pretty regularly on Cartoon Network, and I kept up with it all the way through. And I was a really big fan of that series. In fact, actually, I don't think about it very often, but I think that actually the 5-character dynamic in that show is was kind of an early inspiration for TOME, because I think actually now that I'm kind of placing the time frame, 2004 was when I started the original TV TOME adventure series on Newgrounds. And I think that the 5 main character dynamic that we have with Alpha, Kerbifer, Flame Girl, Game Crazed, and Nylok in both the original and the current version of TOME, I think there was a lot of inspiration that particularly came from Teen Titans. Because I find that the less main characters you have is like a kind of an easier sweet spot to hit with having a good balance. But then again, with a TV series, you can kind of bounce around with as many characters as you want, depending on what you want to focus on. That's a whole other subject in and of itself that I'll probably do at some point. But the dynamic between the main 5 characters in Teen Titans was really well balanced. Like, everybody always seemed to have like something funny or interesting to do in each episode. Even later, when they started bringing in like some of the other side characters and everything, they had like the sort of, like Titans East or whatever, and then the Alliance characters of I'm talking like One Piece terms now. When they had like the really big team of all these different characters kind of joining together and fighting against like the final season of bad guys and everything. They struck a really good balance, and it was funny because I remember when I was really deep into it, and I actually used to go to the Teen Titans TV TOME forums for a while during that era, so that was also kind of in tandem with that whole part. I forget what TOME characters were inspired by people I met on the Teen Titans forum in particular. Unfortunately, I don't have any recollection of that, but nonetheless, I went there a lot and was learning kind of things about what they were taking from the comics. Like, I was learning about what Tara was doing, and the whole arc with her was based on that whole bit with her in the comics in Season 2. Slade, or I suppose I should say Deathstroke, I've only recently, thanks to like Xander and some folks who I know who are like much bigger actual comic book fans, it's so bizarre like that they picked Slade of all characters to be that kind of like evil overlord, like in the background pulling all the strings kind of character, because knowing what Deathstroke, like the original version of that character, was like, I mean, of course he was a running adversary of the Titans and everything, but seeing him in that position, it was such a weird kind of decision. And I do like that version of Slade, the Ron Perlman portrayed version of him. It was a cool kind of, their own sort of iteration of the character and everything. It was very strange that they picked him of all people to be in that like kind of, ultimate evil overlord. Well, you know what I mean? Not overlord, but like just like the lead villain, like the most consistent bad guy throughout the whole series. Kind of an interesting choice that they picked. Xander thinks that it was because like he was a recognizable character, but honestly, like I didn't know who anybody in Teen Titans was except for Robin. Like Starfire and all the other characters were all completely. I didn't even know who Cyborg was, and I didn't realize that he was mainly a Justice League character apparently, or like he has been many times now that I've learned. So I don't think it was because of that. I don't think necessarily, but it's just kind of funny that they picked that of all things, because the way that they kind of executed the main 5, at least in comparison to how they were in the comics, like making Starfire the kind of like Little Mermaid, like not understanding how everything works alien character, like that made sense, and Beast Boy being the goofball sort of guy. The dynamic that they had like worked pretty well. All 5 of the main characters I think are really, really solid. I loved their dynamic. I loved, I think Robin probably was my favorite, which I'll lead into about Teen Titans Go. I'm very happy the way he is now, but I guess from just that kind of like cool, badass like storytelling perspective, I like Robin the most. But I liked all 5 of them for different reasons, and and there was never like if one character got an episode mainly focused on them, I wasn't more bored by that. All 5 of them were interesting in their own right, and they all had their own kind of cool arcs going on. Favorite episodes in particular, ones that popped to mind, I mean, the season finales of all 5 seasons, I think it was 5 seasons, were all fantastic, great battles and everything. The one with, I believe it was called Trock, with that alien guy that was basically calling Starfire a racist name. I remember particularly really liking that one, just because I thought it was pretty powerful for like for it being a kid show and not part of like the DC animated universe, and like and they said outright, like Man of Action said, this is a kid show, we're not writing this for the adult fans of the DCAU. Yeah, there were a few moments where like it went places that I was kind of surprised of like, oh, they're okay with doing this. It's like, oh, okay, and there were certainly times where I wished they could have pushed it a little bit more, like the way that they did for because the DCAU, like Justice League and Batman and all that stuff, like they were on the cusp of like what was okay on kids television a lot with those series, and Teen Titans was definitely much more kid friendly for Saturday morning kind of stuff. But either way, I still really enjoyed it. I remember. I forget I think it might have just been called Cole, but the episode with Cole and Knarf, the caveman guy. I remember I thought her the series design that they gave her was so goddamn cute. I think I actually. I'll even, if I have time, I'll try and toss it in here. But I believe I drew the first bit of fan art of her because I was drawing it like while the episode was going on, and then I put it up on my DeviantArt. It was fucking awful looking, but I was just like, she's so cute. And I was like 15, 16 at the time, so it was whatever. You get it anyway. But yeah, those were a bunch. I'm trying to remember. And anything with Mad Mod obviously was fucking brilliant, and really glad that they were just like they were not afraid to just make all of these like references to things. Mike Lucas actually got most of the Monty Python references because he was a big fan, so he would explain a lot of that stuff to me. I'm trying to remember what else about the original series. Oh, the movie. I actually enjoyed the movie a lot. The Trouble in Tokyo series movie. I thought it was a kind of a stereotypical but a quaint, fun little ending to the whole series. It was about as like cut and dry of like, and then Robin and Starfire get together as it gets, I mean, a little generic, but it was a lot of fun. And even the ending of the series, like after all the normal stuff happens, and then they have that little episode with like Tara supposedly being alive again. Like, I don't know, I thought it was an interesting kind of choice of what they did with that. It was just different. And it's just when they have the guts to do something like that with it and, leave it a little open-ended, it's kind of interesting. Shifting over to Teen Titans Go, I'm going to stand by and say, because I remember Martin was ripping on me for this for a while, and I don't even care because I was just like, whatever, I'm cool with it. I was completely open to Teen Titans Go, and again, as a pretty hardcore fan of the original series, I was open to it as, okay, well, clearly they want to go in a different direction with this. I know for a fact that those 5 voice actors are hilarious in a group together, so that it makes for a great dynamic. And that was entirely right. And you know what? I've definitely, at the time of recording this, there's been a few that I've missed out on, just because there's been so much shit that I've had to catch up on in general in terms of watching shows. But I've kept up with it for a long time. Teen Titans Go is genuinely funny. Like, I like these goofier versions of the characters. Like, it's super entertaining. I'm not sour about, they didn't do more episodes. Like, whatever, and then they did Young Justice, which I need to watch at some point because I know that series is good too in its own right. But it's its own thing, and I'm not like, I'm just not like caught up in wishing that there was more of the old show, because like the old show had a good run, and the reasons for ending it, do I agree with them? Maybe not so much, but either way, like it was 5 great seasons of really good episodes. And you know what? Teen Titans Go, I believe, is about to hit its like 100th episode soon. In terms of, like, I'm sure they're already done with them, but in terms of air date, like they've been doing this for a long time already. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot, honestly. There was one recently that aired with Ravager in it, which I was really surprised that they threw in there, and she was really cool. Which was the whole point of the episode, is that she was super cool. Anytime they tossed in any of the characters from the show has been a good time, and they seem to have kept almost everybody on board for the proper voices and everything. And yeah, I've been liking it. If anything, I guess I'm going to blow the lid off this. I wanted to do some, in line with the canon of the show, but I wanted to do some TOME, like little chibi shorts, kind of like Teen Titans Go. I wrote a few. They would have taken place like before episode 1, but after episode 0. So it would have been like, yeah, that's what I was going to do. Like, how did Alpha and the others meet or whatever. And I was going to do like kind of goofy ones like Teen Titans Go, but I don't know if I'll have time to do those because I'm kind of swamped with making the actual normal episodes by this point. But hey, maybe someday, who knows? But yeah, if that's any signification, like Teen Titans Go, I still think is fantastic, and I should catch up on a few because I've been only popping in once in a while with some of the more recent ones. But yeah, I don't have a big issue with it. I think anybody who's like a hardcore fan of the original show should not be so pissed off about it. I mean, it seems like people are becoming more accepting of it now, but I was always under the impression that like there was a lot of hate for just the show's existence in general. And it's funny because even like with the original show, people were like complaining about, oh, like this is a baby show and this is like a stain on the Marvel, Jesus Christ, the DC animated universe, and so what the fuck else is new, But that said, yeah, I learned a lot from the show. I should also mention Andrew Dickman, another friend of mine. He previously worked on it. In fact, actually, Zach took over on his position when Andrew was moved over to Breadwinners in Nickelodeon. And then also, I recently got to meet Brianna Druid, who was one of the original character designers on the old series. Particularly, she designed the animal versions of all the Teen Titans for the one where Mumbo Jumbo, was it Mumbo Jumbo? The magician guy, not the shaman guy from Banjo-Kazooie. When he turned them all into animals, I believe that she designed all of those, way back in the day. And I got to meet her at a small convention I went to earlier this year, and she was super nice. Her art is fantastic, and you can definitely still see like the influence of her work in the way that the show looks now, even after all this time. So major inspiration. I really liked it. I wish I could remember some other like particular things about my experiences with it, but maybe I'll even go back and like marathon the show again at some point, because there were some episodes I think I've only ever seen like once in my life, and I didn't go back and in fact, actually, I think like the finale I've gone back and watched again, but like the last part of the arc where like Beast Boy and the kind of like whoever he can scrounge together to fight like the Brain and Monsieur Marat or whatever, all those characters. The Legion of Doom. I forget what the bad guys are in that season. But I think I only ever saw those episodes like once. Of course, another favorite of mine is the one where they all meet each other. That's a great one, of course. So I do love the show. I do love Go. I do love we're out of time. That's going to wrap us up. And I guess we'll be back to normal topics again by the time that we're doing this. So before that though, if you have any thoughts about Teen Titans, what was your favorite character or your favorite episode, and what do you feel about Teen Titans Go compared to the original? Do you hate it? Do you hate the original? Do you like Go more? What are your thoughts? I'm curious. I want to know. Can you show me? I want to know about the Titans like me. Jokes. Thank you for listening, and if you have ideas for future Kirblog topics, leave a comment about that, or you can hit me up on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, whatever you feel like, and you may inspire the next Kirblog topic, because I need more. Again, I'm running out. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.